What's up, YouTube? Dialed Sportsman here. Wanted to bring you guys a video talking about inexpensive options to shoot and train. And that is going to be covering mostly 22 long rifle caliber firearms. So, if you guys do like the 22 caliber, that is what we will be talking about mostly today. If you don't, all good, but that is the main subject. So if you want to hear about more, some tips and tricks, and a little bit more about that, stick around. In my opinion, although ammo prices are not at an all-time high and have been dropping in some categories, ammo prices across the board are still pretty high. So that is why I really like the 22 caliber. So this video will bring you some considerations for firearms maybe you already have in 22 or maybe something new, and give you guys a couple options. So if you do train a lot, getting something new might be justifiable for you guys. So let me explain that a little further. Okay, so the 22 LR can be found right now as shooting this video somewhere between 6 cents a round and 12 cents a round. So if you were to consider buying 1,000 rounds of 22, and we'll make some easy numbers, let's call it 10 cents per round, which is pretty realistic, that would be roughly $100 of total ammo if you're buying 1,000 rounds. Now, if you were to consider something else that's very common, let's say 9mm, okay, which is about 30 cents a round. So here's a 9mm. These are going for roughly 30-ish cents per round. 22. I'm sure most of you guys already know this stuff, but we're going to cover it just to get everything up to speed. But like I said, if you're going to consider 9mm, which is around 30 cents a round for decent quality ammo, and you're getting 1,000 rounds of that, you're looking at roughly $300 total on ammo. So if you're using these rough numbers of 1,000 rounds of the 22 versus 1,000 rounds of the 9mm, with the numbers we just talked about, the difference for 1,000 rounds is roughly $200. Okay, so if you're actively shooting and training a lot, perhaps you're in a situation where you can justify this spend on a new unit. Plus, you might just run into something great that you can add to have at your household. So let's talk a little more. For example, right here we have in 22 LR, this is a Ruger 1022. And this one came with this Viridian scope, which is a 3-9, and it's honestly really solid. These can be found for the $300 to $400-ish price range, and a really good option if you want to practice just some precision shooting. Really get down your marksmanship. Another great option to consider is some type of pistol. So here we have a 502. I personally have a 509 already, so this is a great option for me to train with. And these can be found for $400 to $500-ish. On top of that, I found a really good deal on a red dot. I found this Riton red dot, which might be 1 or 2 models older than what they produce now. So I got this thing for 40, 50 bucks, I believe, and it functions just fine for these purposes. Again, looking for a cheap option that's just going to work with this unit. The recoil, it works great with this. It's lightweight. Maybe with something heavier, it might, something more powerful, it might not perform quite as well as far as durability and stuff goes. But for something like this is a great option. If you guys are considering a pistol, the 502 I really like. You can also look at, there's some great options from Smith, some options from SIG, and a ton from Ruger. So in 22, The Mark IV, the Luger, Ruger type setup are all phenomenal and can be had for great prices. Another consideration would be something like an AR-15. So this is just a regular AR-15. However, you can find internally for the bolt carrier group, which is right here, the BCG, for around $200 or less, you can find a 22 LR compatible bolt carrier on a DI gun like this, so a direct impingement gun that has a regular bolt carrier group. I could take this out and make it 22 LR compatible to where it just recoils where this bolt carrier is. It doesn't necessarily use the whole buffer system and can still shoot a 22 caliber. So, you know, when we're talking about some of the pricing between buying 1,000 rounds versus in 22 versus 9mm, like what we talked about before, if you're buying 1,000 of these and not buying 1,000 of these, like we talked about earlier, the difference is $200. So that alone will cover a unit for a regular AR-15 DI gun that you already have. So, or around $400 to $500, you could get a whole new, brand new rifle that's just chambered in 22 and have a whole different setup. So, you know, I personally would probably lean towards that route, although I have shot with the conversion kit in a buddy's firearm, and it works really, really well, actually. I wouldn't be opposed to it. I was pretty impressed with how well it ran when we used it. No malfunctions. Just for me personally, with how cheap 22 is, I would be okay probably with getting a whole brand new unit if I already didn't have a couple options myself. So yeah, guys, shooting 22 overall is a great way to train drills and practice marksmanship with live ammo. Of course, you could do dry firing at home and get some practice that way. However, by not actually firing and feeling the actions move on these rifles, you're not feeling the same recoil that you would if you were regularly firing. Also, you will not get the same feedback as dry fire because you're not seeing where your impacts are hitting targets. So that is a great reason why this is a good route to go. But yeah, not to take anything away from dry firing, you should be doing a lot of that. We could talk about that in a whole video of itself, but getting outside and getting some actual rounds downrange in training is better than no training. So, you know, this alternative method to maybe how you typically shoot, like I said, training is better than no training. But yeah, guys, thank you for tuning in. I hope this is helpful to some of you guys. I'm sure a lot of you already knew this, but again, with that ammo price difference, like we talked about earlier, maybe this can help you justify getting a new type of setup. So hopefully that's helpful for you guys. But yeah, thank you so much for tuning in. Feel free to jump on board and subscribe to this channel if you like content like this. I have many other videos like this coming down the road. Or give us a thumbs up as well. It really helps grow the channel and supporting the 2A community. So thank you guys so much. Take care.